Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening, everybody. We are back. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Okay. Back with another good one. Everybody. Hold up. Let me get myself situated. Bloop. We're not starting in a few. We started. All right. So, inshallah ta'ala, we'll dive straight in. Hey, man, what's going on? What's going on, Lillian Ham? My mother-in-law right there. Watching the dial. Um, so yeah, alhamdulillah, we're gonna get started. Inshallah ta'ala. This particular video is gonna be about a slogan that you see the Salafia they run and hide up under. Sometimes cowardly, they run and hide up under the slogan, "We take the authentic opinion." This is, that's a broad statement. Number one, when you might be in a argument with them or something, and then you bust their head and you provide them with some evidence. First, what I like to do is I say it out my mouth and try to get them to contradict me, and so because they think they're talking to you most of the time. So when you talking to them, and then I get them to contradict me, like bam, then it's bam, there go the evidence. Then they say, oh well, we take the authentic opinion, as if there's a such thing. So the video is actually 2 minutes long. All the opinions. When you say a lot of people don't know the word literally means opinion. It means opinion. It technically is not legally binding, but it's a best made effort. Uh, it's a best made effort on the behalf of somebody much more knowledgeable than yourself. So you should take it. And 9 times out of 10, when you asking somebody something, you trusting them for their advice anyway. So it's legally, you can, semantically, you can say it's legally binding in that shape, form, fashion. So a fatwa is just an opinion. It's not. That's it. It's an opinion. So all of the opinions of the mujtahidun are authentic. This is where it is. This is where they get lost at, because the salafis, they freestyle and everything. It's all right off the top of the head. Whatever sounds right and feels good at the moment and can win the argument, they say it. So this video is going to destroy that claim that they follow the authentic opinion. Where they got that from, I have no idea. It does not belong to the righteous Salafi Salihun. It doesn't belong to them. We don't find this. We don't find the traces of this anywhere. And so, inshallah, we're gonna jump straight in. I got a couple of examples. First, I want to explain. Hold on one second. Gotta get them childrens together, man. Bedtime, they are crazy. But anyway, uh, first thing that you must know is that it's impossible for a person. The Salafis will claim that they follow all the imams at the same time. This video is also going to disprove that. They say, "Oh, we love all the four imams. The four imams were great scholars. We love them all." But they contradict all of the scholars, all of the scholars of the Salaf, and all of the scholars of the Mujtahideen imams. They contradict every one of them, but they love them so much and they love them so dearly. This is real stupid if you ask me. It's impossible, number one, that you're not following the madhab, Mr. and Mrs. Salafi. When they say, "Oh, we take from the authentic opinion," this is something that Uthaymeen and Bin Baz and the whole bunch that they made up. It don't exist. They made it up. There's no such thing. Every opinion that came from a mujtahid is an authentic opinion. It's just that it's an opinion. It's ijtihad, number one. It was his best made effort, which is much better than anything that we can ever come up with. It was his best made effort at providing an answer for a particular situation. So, first and foremost, um, all of the books, and y'all hear me say this all the time. Excuse me. You hear me say this all the time. All of the books of hadith are authentic. I mean, it's not authentic, but they all belong. They're authentic, but they all belong to adherents to madhabs from the Malikis, the Hanafis, the Shafi'is, and the Hanbalis. This is all the material that you will ever find on hadiths. So when the Salafis say they don't follow a particular school, or it's not permissible to make taqleed of one imam, and it's not permissible to take the imam's advice over the imam's advice over the Quran and the Sunnah. Well, newsflash, you don't have access to the Quran or the Sunnah if you're not following the madhabs. So the hadith books were compiled via the madhabs. Even if you can go to what's the book called? Fiqh al-Akbar. It's got different narrations, different fatwa opinions in it, and hadiths in it from Imam Abu Hanifa. We know we have the Muwatta from Imam Malik. And all the rest of the books are Shafi'i, except for Ahmad's Musnad. And of course, Ahmad was Hanbali, and he told the people that he wanted that book to be an imam for the people when he goes away, when he dies. He wanted that book to be an imam for the people. He was a mujtahid within his own right. So the differences in the compilations of the ahadith were hadiths gathered by those particular mujtahideen inside and outright, inside the schools, and the mujtahidun who were outright, which were the four. All of the others, Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, Imam Nawawi, all the big names, Ibn Hajar, all of the big names, they all were adherents to the Shafi'i madhab in fiqh. And they brought Assalamu alaikum Kanza. They brought the hadiths that supported their fiqh position. So if somebody quotes you a hadith from any one of the books, they're quoting you hadiths in support of that particular fiqh, that particular position that they have or have not taken in fiqh. So when the Salafis say, "I follow the authentic opinion," and so on and so forth, that's first and foremost. If you, I was in debate with some Salafis a day ago, and they were like copy and pasting all this stuff from Abu Dawood, I think it was, and they were calling this authentic. First and foremost, those hadiths are not opinions; those are hadiths. Those are not fatwas. The fatwa is the word from the scholar. The hadith is the hadith. And somebody they can draw a mujtahid, he can draw a fatwa out of a hadith. You can do that, which is a whole different conversation for a whole different day. But when somebody keep copying and pasting all these different hadiths, trying to get you to believe what they're saying at that particular time, That's unauthentic. When you say you follow the authentic opinion, that's unauthentic. All of the madhabs, remember, the madhab means a pathway. It's a path. It's access. It's access. That's all madhab means. And if you are a madhabi, you are a person that is on that path. You are a person that is on this in this access. The madhabs are the road. They are the access point. They are the entry points. The madkhal, that's what these are the entry points to the Quran and the Sunnah. You do not have the Quran and the Sunnah if you don't have the madhab. And I'm gonna take it in this presentation. I'm gonna take it further. We're gonna go deeper than that, inshallah, and show you that madhabs did exist in the time of the Salaf. Madhabs did exist in the time of the Sahaba. It existed. Because you always get the Salafi say, you get to arguing with them or whatever, or they want you to believe something. They say, "Oh, what madhab did Abu Hurairah follow? Well, what madhab did Imam Ash'ari, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, what did he follow? Anas ibn Malik, what madhab did he follow? Aisha, what madhab did she follow? They all say this. Number one, and they love to say, you don't have a grasp of Arabic. They tell me this all the time. And I studied Arabic for like 7 years strong. like 70, like when y'all was out like working and taking care of your families and shooting basketball and stuff, I was like literally stuck in a cell, trying to perfect this. And I still haven't perfected it yet. I'm still working on it. So whatever. They don't understand Arabic. They don't understand madhab. The madhab just means this pathway, this way. They call you a madhabi, and they call you a mufawwid, and a muta'awwil, and they call you all this stuff, and they make these names. They make slurs out of honorable names. A Sufi, you're a Sufi. He's an Ash'ari. Funny and real funny, because I've been posting our isnad, the Ash'ari isnad, all day, and the Salafis ain't got nothing to say. Hold on. Salam alaikum. Oh shoot! Why you got? I'm in the middle of doing the video, right? Because I didn't answer. I'm doing the video. Okay, I'm gonna text you back. Thanks, man. Okay, sorry about that. Ghetto. Hold on one second. Wife's out getting my dinner. What's that thing called? Okay. Sorry about that. Hey, Sirat al-Mustaqim, my brother. Inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will preserve you and nurse you back strong to health. We need you, big brother. You're a strong pillar. You're a strong pillar between me and you, man. Well, between me and you and the world, because this is on live. But I met like 3 brothers in 3 different cities, or from 3 different cities, that spoke highly of you. They was from 3 different cities, and they spoke highly of you. They're not where you are now, but they spoke highly of you. Alhamdulillah. It was like this casual conversation, like your name came up. Alhamdulillah. And all the brothers, they spoke highly of you. Alhamdulillah. May Allah Ta'ala forgive your mishaps and your and any mishaps that you ever had, anything that you ever did that might have been wrong. I know you're careful about that anyway, but that might have been wrong, and nurse you back to health for the sake of us Definitely for the sake of yourself, because I know you want to get some more good deeds. That's what you love. That you love getting them good deeds, man. I'll be getting that energy. Alhamdulillah. We need the older cats to continuously reach out. A lot of times, the older cats be feeling like, oh man, them young boys, man, they crazy. I don't want to hear nothing they got to say. They do that, and that leaves us misguided. But you care, and you make an effort. You be out there in the field. I remember when you was posting when you was in the Crip neighborhood with the Crips, with the Cuzzos, and then the people, the brothers just randomly, like you ain't even know, like the brothers just randomly pulled up and started making salah with y'all, man. That's what I'm talking about. Like being hands down, hands on the front lines, man. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I ain't mean to praise you in front of everybody, but sometimes, you gotta do that. You gotta give respect and credit where it's due. A lot of older guys, we need y'all. We need y'all, inshallah. But diving back in, where did I leave off at? Phone. Let me turn my phone on silent. I actually forgot where I left off at, but let's get into the topic. So, I was just talking about fatwa and what all this stuff means up against the hadith. So the hadiths, all of the hadith scholars followed a madhab. Every one of them. Every hadith scholar followed the madhab. Every one of them. Let's get that clear. So nobody is not following the madhab. If you depending on what, if you say you're following the Quran and Sunnah according to the way of the Salah, and you just like picking up the hadith books and you just like reading them and you following what those hadith books saying as best you possibly can, highly unrecommended. You should not do that. That's what this video is about. And then I'm gonna give you evidence why you should not do that. Why would she do this? Hold on. She ordered some pizza. Give me 1 second. Hey, thank you. You're welcome. Oh, sorry. I had to light this light on. No, you're good. Have a good day. All right, you too. Thank you. Ya Allah. Okay. Sorry again. This is real life. I ain't one of them big YouTube scholars with all the effects and the fire blowing in the back with the wind blowing in my beard and stuff, make me look heroic. No, I'm just a regular, everyday, around the way brother, But anyway, so all of those hadith books, all of those scholars, they all follow the madhab, every one of them. No matter what, most people not reading Fiqh al-Akbar from Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahumullah. Most people not reading that. So most people are not picking up that book. And plus, that's a very, very advanced book. The Muwatta, some people know about it, and some people read stuff from it, but a lot. I think I've seen like 70% of what is in Bukhari and Muslim is in Muwatta, plus some more. I've read that before. I don't know. I'm not a muhaddith, so I don't know. But most people ain't looking like the Muwatta. Of course, that's the standpoint of the Malikis, but it's a hadith book. It's a hadith collection. Like we go through our fiqh before we get to the Muwatta. That Muwatta is the big. That's like the big boss man at the end of the video game. And that's what I'm trying to convey to y'all. The other fiqh books are Shafi'i. All those other scholars are Shafi'i. Bayhaqi, Imam Nawawi, Ibn al-Hajar, Nisaburi, Darul Qutni, Qurtubi, all these guys were Shafi'i. All these guys. So you are reading a compilation of a hadith that they put together according to a Shafi'i viewpoint and what supports the Shafi'i madhab. That's what you're reading. This is what you follow. You are not skipping over that, because I done had salafis tell me, you telling me what Imam Nawawi says, and I'm telling you what Rasulullah says. Well, you telling me what Rasulullah said out of Imam Nawawi's book. Like, for instance, I was debating with some Salafis a day ago, and the guy was like trying to prove me wrong for being an Ash'ari. And he was like, "Oh, you're Ash'ari, you're Sufi, da da da, dude." You know, all the name calling, what they do. And he literally copy and pasted a hadith that came no against me. And it was a number one, it was a quote. I'm a Maliki. Number one, it was a quote from Imam Malik. Number two, it was a quote when Imam Malik saying we do not interpret istiwa ala al-arsh. We don't talk about that, but we say it to confirm it. That's the transliteration of what he put up in Arabic. He was trying to be fancy, and he put the Arabic up trying to be fancy. But that was, and he knew that the people couldn't read it, but he knew that the people would be impressed if he would put the Arabic up. But I could read it, and I was like, I sound like, dude, you or anybody that's laughing at my comments, can y'all even read what y'all put up and what y'all's, can y'all even read that? They never answered it, not one time. I don't think they could, because they took that from one of the pamphlets from like Ben Baz or somebody, and Ben Baz like handpicked that. Don't quote me. It was one of the big Salafi teachers. They handpicked that and put that in like one of their books, so on and so forth. And so he copy and pasted that from that book. He didn't copy and paste it from the actual book that it came from. And he didn't even know. And then a third or fourth, whatever it is, and I'm on third or fourth, he said, here's an isnad. And there was an isnad, but the isnad belonged to the Malikis. That's what was so crazy. I asked them for isnad from like a Salafi scholar that goes back to the Salaf, the time of the Salaf. That's what I've been asking everybody. I've been parading on and on and on. Give me a isnad for what y'all believe. Y'all believe the attributes of those attributes of hand and nose and eye and stuff about Allah is literal. We don't. And here's our evidence. We have it's not. Boom. I've been posting it on my page. I've been posting it in this group. I've been posting it on Salafi's page when we debate back and forth. And all they do is talk bad about me and my wife. That's all they do. They never one time posted an it's not for this belief system. That's another video. We already did that video. I think we didn't toasted that. I don't even think I need to go there no more. So we back on this. We on this. So in the isnad, the very first name in the isnad, when you look at it in Arabic, the very first name was Imam Bayhaqi al-Ash'ari. That was the very first name. So you trying to prove me wrong about being an Ash'ari, not to say like this, all the Salafis are that ignorant. But he tried to prove me wrong. This guy was sharp. Somebody tagged him, a mutual friend of ours tagged him, a mutual associate, tagged him, was like, man, look at this dude, man, come get this dude. And this dude was supposed to be like Arabic, and then the mutual guy between us was like, well, why don't you debate him? He speaks Arabic. You think you know Arabic? Well, he speaks Arabic fluently. So they like went and got this guy. So he was somebody knowledgeable. And what he copied and pasted came out of one of the Salafi books. So this is like a thing. This is something that they believe, and they got it mixed up. So number one, I use that as an example to say there isn't any isnad, any hadith, anything that's authentic that will not run through the names of the scholars of the mujtahideen scholars, the four imams. They are responsible for all of this. I like to jump way out there and tell everybody they have a monopoly on the knowledge in Islam. They have a monopoly on it. And if anybody else says anything outside of what was said in the four imams and all of our collections, hadith collections from that stem from the four imams, then you got to bring your isnad. The Salafis believe in, and like the Tajsim and stuff, that's not reported. It's not reported, not in the time of the Salaf. And I've been being nice. It kind of seemed like I'll be being funny, but I don't. When I ask y'all for it, it's not. I'm trying to make y'all the fifth madhab. I'm trying to go back to all of the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah and be like, all right, y'all, they got their card. Let's give them a card to the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Let's give them access to it. You have to have an isnad. Now, when you can't go to the hadith books that were written by all the people you say don't follow. You say don't follow them or follow them all at once. We're going to get there. I'm going to deal with that. But you got to understand this pretense first. You cannot go to our material. This is the work of our scholars. This is our viewpoint, not yours. You have to have your own mujtahid, and you have to have an absolute mujtahid. You have to, because even the lesser mujtahideen, Ibn Hajar, Bayhaqi, Daraqutni, all these people, Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim, they were lesser mujtahideen. They still was up under the big dog mujtahid, Imam Shafi'i and Imam Ahmad. The two, they were these big hadith scholars were heavily influenced by these two people in Aqidah and in fiqh. In Aqidah and in fiqh. So those people belong to what we say. And we have our chains locked inside of the works of these individuals. When y'all say something opposite of what we have been saying, you have to bring a chain. And that chain has to be corroborated. Bringing a chain is just part of it. That's just to get the ball rolling, to get the conversation started. After you bring a chain, we gotta certify it. We gotta corroborate it, because your chain can be rejected. Y'all can go and grab one of those chains out of Bukhari or whatever and put it on whatever you say you want to put it on. But we got something for that too. If you forget that one of our hadith scholars, one of our hadith imams, I think it was Tirmidhi, he took all of the fabricated hadith with the fabricated asanid and put them in one book and said, this is all of the mawdu', the mawdu'a. This is it right here. So we hip. We hip. You can't take a fabricated chain. So let me close that point. First and foremost, everybody understand, you are following a madhab. It's impossible and it's illogical. And it's not even logical that you can go and find a chain for some foreign beliefs that belong to the Salafi Saleh, that supposedly belongs to the Salafi Saleh. You can't, you won't find it. Those links don't even exist anymore. We only have what we have available right now. That's it. So now let me jump into the presentation of evidence against that claim. We follow the most sound opinion. So first and foremost, and I'm gonna paraphrase this as best I possibly can, because I don't want to make this long at all. It's already been 35 minutes. I don't want to make this long. There's an authentic, and I got all the sources for this, so I'm not going to waste any time quoting the sources. I have the sources. Don't play with me. I have the sources. If you want it, I can, maybe I can make it available, but I have the sources. So there's a tabi'i named Sa'id ibn Jubair, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He was a student of Ibn Abbas. I'm paraphrasing this athar. So Sa'id ibn Jubair, he was an actual student. Mind you, he's a tabi'i. So he has the right, not only is a student of knowledge, not only is he a talibul ilm, he's a student of knowledge. This guy is a tabi'i. He belongs to one of the golden generations. We know about that. We know about what was said about that. Everybody's claiming that they have some kind of connection to the golden chain. So Sa'id ibn Jubair, he was one of the students of Abdullah ibn Abbas, radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma. So he was doing his thing, reading the hadiths about Hajj. And he came across 3 contradicting hadiths, all of them sound chain, sound matan. Sahih isnad wa sahih matan. All of them, mutun. All of them, every one of them was sahih. So he was confused. So the contradictions was in regards to Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, the instance when he said labbaik Allahumma labbaik. He found three different instances that I know of. I don't know if it was 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, 10. Three were mentioned in what I read. So please don't be on here hair splitting like, brother, here's the actual hadith, copy and paste it. It was actually 7, it was 10. Make tawa, brother, you misquoted the hadith. I don't know. I'm paraphrasing it. And I'm making a point while I'm paraphrasing. I'm just telling y'all what I read. Three different narrations that were authentic that the Prophet ﷺ said, labbaik Allahumma labbaik, during Hajj. He only made Hajj once. During Hajj. So they didn't have different instances and different years when the Prophet ﷺ made Hajj to compare the narrations. So Sa'id ibn Jubayr, he like, whoa, hold up. One hadith says he said labbaik right here. Another one says he did it here. And another one says he did it here. I'm not going to get specific. Mind you, I am paraphrasing. So he went to his sheikh, Abdullah ibn Abbas, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He went to him. He was like, "Yo, what's up? What's happening? What's going on with this?" And Abdullah ibn Abbas, he told him, "I know about this situation better than anybody that's alive right now. I was there. I remember first-hand account. I know what's going on." So he told Sa'id ibn Jubayr, he said, "You confused because he had, separate narrations in about three different instances. He was confused because he said the people, when they were coming to make Hajj, they were coming at different intervals. It was coming at different time periods. So the Prophet, ﷺ, he kept saying it. He was saying it over and over and over again, apparently. And one group came when he first said it somewhere, and then another group came when he said it in another place, and another group came when he was saying it at another place. But from him only looking at the Quran and the Sunnah. That's all. That's what he's doing. He's looking at the Quran and he's looking at the Sunnah. The Quran says you got to make Hajj. Okay, I'm going to go to the Sunnah. How do I make Hajj? He's looking at the Hajj. Mind you, he's confused and he's living amongst the Sahaba. He's a student. He's a son. He's a nephew. He's a cousin to the Sahaba. This is what we all claiming. We all complaining Quran and Sunnah according to the way of the Sahaba, to the way of the Salaf. This is what we're doing. This man went to he was living, he was around. He didn't even go. Let me rephrase. He didn't go to the Quran and Sunnah. He was in the Quran and Sunnah. He was a part of it. This was before the Quran and Sunnah was even formulated, which is bid'ah. It's bid'ah hasana, but which was bid'ah. That stuff didn't even exist at this time period. So this stuff we arguing about, this fiqh and that fiqh and this imam and that imam, it was all bid'ah. And we're gonna do a video about that bid'ah. But anyway, he was confused about these narrations. But so the fact of the matter is, the gist of the story is, you can, number one, what the Salafi say, you go straight to the Quran and the Sunnah, jump over the Imams, go around the Imams, go up under the Imams, and go straight to the Quran and Sunnah. Somebody ever tell you, don't tell me what Malik said, don't tell me what Shafi'i said, tell me what the Quran and the Sunnah said? If somebody said that, they're wrong. Somebody say, oh, Malik said, if you find the authentic hadith, then throw my statement out the window. He's wrong. He's not wrong about that statement, because that was said, even though it's an inauthentic narration, I believe, from all of the imams. I don't think those are authentic. But this is popular. It's popular amongst the people. Everybody's saying this. He's wrong for that position. First and foremost, Imam Malik and all the other imams that were saying, they were talking to other imams. You're not an imam. All of the four imams were known to have a ta'aleem for the imams. They were teachers of the imams. They had ta'aleem for the imams, and they had general ta'aleem. So that this was not reported from the group of people supposedly from the group of people who were the generals and masters. First and foremost, that's illogical. If that was a ta'aleem that was given to the general masses of the people, as the Salafis try to trick everybody and believe, and they given this antidote to the general masses of the people, this is illogical because the general masses of the people at that time and in this time don't know the sciences of narration. They were not memorizers. They weren't students. These were just everyday people like me and you going to hear the good word. They didn't say, "Oh, I heard from so and so, from so and so, from so and so, from so and so." That Imam Malik said, "You have to, if you find a Sahih Hadith, then throw my fatwa out the window." That's illogical. That's impossible. That cannot happen. Nor did it happen. So that's first and foremost. Second, the narrations, we don't know. Like as far as I know, it's like I don't know how, but it's like it's shaky. That the narrations that came from his students. Those narrations have his students' names on them, which were the imams, which were the people who were qualified and trained to say, "So I heard from so and so, from so and so, from so and so that Malik said this." We still even have a question about that particular. It's not neither here nor there. People say it. That's what it is. That's first and foremost. So we learn from this story that Sa'id ibn Jubayr, he had help. He had assistance. He was a madhabi. This was a tabi'i. Y'all say y'all want to follow the Quran and Sunnah according to the way of the Sahaba, according to the way of the Salaf. I'm giving it to you right here. Sa'id ibn Jubayr, nobody you will ever mention is bigger than him. Nobody ever mentioned. And nobody ever mentioned by the Salafi Creed and the Salafi organization will ever reach the likes of him. Ever. And he himself asked the people or the person of knowledge because he didn't know. So how in the world is it possible for us who don't even live in the time period of the Salaf to go straight to the Quran and the Sunnah according to the way of the Salaf? Sa'id ibn Jubayr was a tabi'i, and he was confused about what he saw. He was a part of the roots of what we're arguing about. And he was confused. So he had to go to his imam. He had to go to the mujtahid of that time, one of the mujtahidun of that time, Abdullah ibn Abbas, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He had to go to that man and have him work it out. Now, the answer that Abdullah, this is the second thing. The answer that Abdullah ibn Abbas gave to Sa'id ibn Jubayr was not a hadith. The Salafis are saying, "Oh, here, I'm giving you a hadith, and then you gave me a fatwa for Imam Malik. I'm going to take the hadith over the fatwa." This is what Al-Albani put out there. Al-Albani said himself, like, if I have the statements of the scholars and I have a hadith, I'm going to take the hadith. He poisoned people with that mentality. This is not the way of the Sunnah. This is not the way of the Salaf. You're calling yourself Salafi. This is not the way of the Salafi. The way of the Salafi was to use usulul fiqh. Abdullah ibn Abbas, it gave him a fiqhi answer. He didn't give him a hadith. He worked it out for him. He did ta'arud. He worked out that situation for him. And he had the foresight to be able to do so. He didn't give him a hadith as an answer. He gave him an answer from logic. And the Salafis always say, well, we follow the Quran and the Sunnah strictly. We don't use logic. That comes from Aristotle and comes from Greek mythology. We don't use logic. Well, here's an example of Abdullah ibn Abbas, who is better than Ibn Abdul Wahhab, and Ibn Uthaymeen, and Ibn bin Baz. He's better than all of them, giving logic to the Quran and the Sunnah, which is necessary. You have to have akal. It's one of the usuli principles, and they even teach you in usul. They even teach you how to have akal. That's how deep our sciences go. So that we don't get drug into Aristotelism or whatever, and Greek mythology, the stuff that they claiming that we got into, so that we don't get drug into. We have a science, the science of kalam. That's a science. Even though the Salafis attack it, and even though Ibn Taymiyyah himself was a mutakallim, he was a person of what they call a mu'akli, or I forget the name in Arabic. Someone of y'all put it in the chat and correct me. He was a person. He was a mutakallim. He actually was refuting the bad mutakallimun with kalam. He has a book on kalam that none of y'all has ever seen. All y'all have ever seen was the propaganda in the Salafi publications. That's it. Y'all haven't seen the actual material to read it for yourself to see if these people are lying or not. So Abdullah ibn Abbas, he gave Sa'id ibn Jubayr a fiqh understanding. Sa'id ibn Jubayr brought the hadith, he brought the sound hadith, and Abdullah ibn Abbas said, okay, hold on, put the hadith down. This is what happened. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Y'all want evidence? Where's your dalil, brother? Here's the dalil. These are all famous athar that belongs to the Sunnah with good chains and the whole nine. So, closing up that point. At that instance, Sa'id ibn Jubayr, he was a madhabi. He was a muqallid. He made taqlid. Another scary word that the Salafis would try to discourage you from doing. He did taqlid. At-tabi'i did taqlid. He followed a madhab in the time of the Sahaba. He was an Abbasi. I'm a Maliki. He was an Abbasi. He followed Abdullah ibn Abbas. He took what Abdullah ibn Abbas said without arguing it. And even more so, he had in his hand, or his memory, sorry, na'udhu billah, astaghfirullah, we bring in a book to somebody like, oh, we're not even bringing, but we bringing our Quran apps and our Bukhari apps to people, and putting the Bukhari app up against the giant, the mountainous statements of the four Imams. He had the Quran and the Sunnah in his head, and he went to Abdullah ibn Abbas with the Quran and the Sunnah. Abdullah ibn Abbas gave him akal. He gave him kalam. That's what he gave him. So first and foremost, this is an example. This is evident. And there are many examples. And y'all will not stay here to listen for them. So I handpicked one and a few others that I felt like was heavy hitters that can get the point across. But we can do this all day. There were numerous examples, more than you can count, of this same instance. This is our Sunnah, brothers and sisters. Y'all really want the Quran and Sunnah according to the way of the Salah? I'm giving it to you right here. This was the Sunnah. To be a muqallid, to follow a madhab, and to follow fiqh. This was the Sunnah. This is what was handed down from generation, all the way to my dumb butt. This was the Sunnah, y'all. Second example. I pulled out, handpicked from my sources, and I have all the evidences. Some instances. Matter of fact, y'all look them up. Y'all scholars. That's what I do. When I hear somebody say something that I ain't never heard, I go and look it up. I was like, where's your delivery for that, brother? I go and look it up myself. Go and look it up. Timestamp, when I said it. You can paraphrase it in the Google search bar and it'll pull up what you need. Just be careful if it says Salafi Publications or if it says AbuKhadija.com and all the y'all know the website. Just be careful of those interpretations. I would suggest Lamppost. Lamppost, or hit me up, hit the good brother, and I send you to the right folk. But I handpicked some instances from my sources of examples of how it's illogical and it's impossible to follow the Quran and the Sunnah without following the madhab, without getting involved with the madhab scholars. Just going straight to the books yourself. So there is a hadith when these are, let me see how many I got. I think I have four. I got four examples, four hadith, four sound hadith that all instances of contradictions. Abdullah ibn Umar, he narrated that Rasulullah alayhi salam did not forbid the women from going to the masjid. But his own son, I think his name was Waqid. Somebody, I couldn't really find his name. It just the narration said his son. So it was implied that we know who the son is or was from other hadith. Of course, we don't. But Bukhari and Muslim is set up like that. Like it'll say something like Abdullah ibn Umar's son. He had a few sons. We don't know which one. I think it was Waqid. As far as I can find, it was Waqid. That he contradicted his own father. Now, this is two examples from. I mean, he prevented the women. He said that he said to his father, and they disagreed about it. Like some reports say that Abdullah ibn Umar never spoke to him again, but it happened. You can pick and choose whichever Sahabi you want to follow. Him and his son were Sahaba. Or maybe his son was a Tabi'i, but still. Abdullah ibn Umar said Rasulullah never forbade the women from coming to the masjid, and he won't. And then it was like in that same section, it was other narrations. There were other reports of other Sahabi, like Sahabi, not his son or his sons, other Sahabi saying the same thing, contradicting him, Abdullah ibn Umar. So what do you do with all these conflicting there? And mind you, this was in the same book, on the same page, in the same section. How you following the Quran and the Sunnah? Going around the imams, going around the fiqh, saying I don't follow the fiqh, I follow the most sound opinion. All those hadith, all those hadiths are in Sahih Muslim. All those hadiths are in Sahih Muslim. On the same page, in the same chapter, right, one after another. You read narrations when the Sahaba were conflicted. Abdullah ibn Umar gave the people the narration. The people was like, we don't care nothing about none of that. There's too much fitna going on. Them women ain't coming out the house. What do you do? How do you work that out? Whose side do you take? And then we have the principle of ijma. I read at least 5 hadith. I think it was 4 or 5 hadith of this instance. I don't know if they were at different times or if this was said in the same instance, and that was the reaction from all those different people, because it's different hadiths, all one after another saying this, and there's different people contradicting Abdullah ibn Umar. Who do you choose? Abdullah ibn Umar, or do you choose that group? We have the science of ijma, consensus, scholarly consensus. We have that as a principle. That's that's usul. So Abdullah ibn Umar is as big as it gets when it comes to a Sahabi. Do you take the big sahabi, or do you follow the usul of ijma and look at us and say, oh, even his own son went against him and 4 or 5 other against the sahaba? That was consensus. Abdullah ibn Umar is wrong. We don't let the women out. What do you do? And these are all sound hadith. So you can't follow the Quran and Sunnah on your own. You can't. Second example. This is a famous one. Nabi alayhi salatu salam, and they were 2 separate instances. It wasn't like one and the same. As far as I know, this one like at the same time. It was like one instance and then another instance. So one instance was a hadith, and the other instance was a hadith also. During Ramadan, an older man asked, "Can he kiss his wife?" Rasulullah said, "Yeah." Another instance, another hadith, a young man asked Rasulullah if he could kiss his wife. Rasulullah said no. Now the interpretation of these 2 conflicting hadith is famous. So y'all know the answer. But where'd you get the answer from? You didn't get the answer from the Quran and the Sunnah. You did not. You did not get the answer from the Quran and the Sunnah. The Quran said fast on the month of Ramadan. That's it. And then about this particular issue, when you look into it, you find one hadith that says one thing, another hadith that says a complete opposite. So where do you get the answer from? Who do you follow? Or not who, because that was only an instance involving Rasulullah. What do you follow? Can you kiss your wife or can you not kiss the wife? Or husband, for the sisters. Maybe a salafi sister cussing me out. Brother, you didn't include the sisters. This is haram. Which one? What do you do? Both these hadiths, they're in the same section, in the same areas, in all of the hadith books. The ahkam al-siyam. What do you do? I'm pretty sure y'all know the answer to that. Third example. I don't know how to reject a call with an iPhone yet. I think I just did it. Third example. There was blatant conflicting narrations as far as to whether you can or if you should fast during Ramadan while you are a musafir, while you are a traveler. In one instance, Nabi Sallallahu indicated that it was sinful to actually fast while you are a traveler and musafir. And in another instance, he told the Sahabi, if you can do it, do it. If not, refrain from it, make it up. 2 conflicting sound narrations in the same book, in the same chapters. What do? Who's right and who's wrong? Which narration is right? Which narration is wrong? What do? You can't follow the Quran and Sunnah. You can't. Without a fiqh, without an imam working this out for you. What you gonna do? Who is your Abdullah ibn Abbas that's gonna work that out for you? Fourth and last example. Famous instance that we all have read over and haven't understood was when Abdullah ibn Umar, again, he's popular in the hadith world. He narrated, and this is real deep, something he witnessed himself. He narrated directly from Rasulullah Sallallahu, if I'm not mistaken, directly about Rasulullah Sallallahu making a comment about some folks being punished in the grave, the family been punished for crying over or crying about a woman. He witnessed the Prophet of Islam saying this. But then Aisha, radiallahu ta'ala anha, the muhadditha, the hafida, she contradicted him. It was like, no. That ain't why. That wasn't general. It was a specific instance dealing with a Jewish woman, and the people were crying over that particular incident. It ain't had nothing to do with the people was crying because she was dead and they been punished, or she been punished because they crying over her being dead. That didn't have nothing to do with it. You got Aisha versus Abdullah ibn Umar. You ain't following the Quran and Sunnah. How? If you say you can follow Quran and Sunnah without a madhab, you're gonna be like this. Going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you will never go like this. You'll never go straight. You'll never go straight. And the vast majority of people that's going like this, they end up putting it down. Now we be like, they end up putting it down. I done seen it with my own eyes. I'm just gonna stick to what I was doing because this is confusing. This got mass contradictions in it. Because you're not following the madhab, you're not following the imam. Where is your Abdullah ibn Abbas that's gonna work out? This is only four narrations. I can go on for another hour or so with other conflicting narrations. What are you gonna do? And this is in the hadith books. All these are sound. All of them are sound. You still want to throw Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Ahmad? You still want to throw their fatwa against the wall? This is impossible. So I'm gonna close with another example. I gotta read this. So if you are following the Quran and the Sunnah by yourself on your own, hold up now, hold up. Hold up now, hold up. Okay. I put up a video about this earlier. I hope I can squeeze this in without boring y'all to death. I know y'all got football games to watch. I had two more sections I wanted to cover, but maybe I'll make that second section another video. I don't want to bore y'all to death. I already been going on for an hour. Give me a second. Let me find this section out of this book. What page was it on? I'm gonna pull up what Imam Bukhari said were the prerequisites for an individual seeking to learn hadith. Where is it? I put part of it just on in the group. I put the first his response, a young brother was coming to learn from Bukhari, and he gave him some advice as to what he should do before he approached the Quran. And so not even the Quran, this was just the Sunnah. Let alone, like the people say, following Quran and the Sunnah according to the way of the Salah. He didn't even give him advice according to the Quran. He gave him advice according to the Sunnah, and it was mind-boggling. And the Salafi, Salafiyun, Salafiyya, however you want to say it, they hold on, I'm looking for it. They have a lot of nerve to say that they can go straight to the Quran, to the Quran and the Sunnah without knowing these usul, the usul of the Quran and the Sunnah. Now, where is it? Let me see if I made a note to where it was at. Sorry, y'all. Bear with me. I'll have it in a second. Yeah, here it is. Bam, got it. All right, so I'm gonna read through it real fast. This might get real boring, and if your football game is real good and this isn't, then I understand. This is the Quran and Sunnah according to the way of the Salaf. I told you I'll bore y'all to death with this stuff. So if you rather watch your football game and listen to this, not me, listen to this, then you shouldn't ever debate with a person about who's right between the Salafis and the Madhabis. You should never do it. Okay. So Bukhari, I want to read this quote, but I don't want to get long-winded. Okay, so these are some of the things. It's a long quote before this that he advised the seeker of hadith to learn, to memorize, become situated with before he even touched one hadith. He said, the four things you have to write are the statements and the commands of Rasulullah first, the sayings of the companions and their relative ranks second, the sayings of the followers and their ranks, who among them are reliable and who are not, the conditions of all the narrators who narrate hadiths. These four pieces of information must be written together with the following four things: the actual names of the narrators, the applications or titles, their kunya, their places of residence, and their dates of birth and death to determine whether the narrator actually met the people he narrated from. These are indispensable to him, just as four things are necessary with four other things. As praises, tahmid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are necessary with the khutbah, the salutations, the salawat are necessary with the mention of Rasulullah alayhi salatu, as the recitation of Bismillah is necessary with a surah of the Quran, and as the takbir is necessary with the salah. These resemble four other things, which are names of four categories of hadith: the musnadat, the narrations traceable to the messenger; the mursalat, narrations transmitted by a follower from the messenger directly with the companion in between; the muwafakat, the mawkufat, narrations traceable only to a companion; and the maktu'at, narrations traceable only to a follower. These things must all be written four times: in his childhood, in his age of discernment, close to maturity, in his youth, in his old age. In other words, he must continue acquiring hadiths at all times throughout every stage of his life. They must be written under four conditions: while his is occupied, while he is free, in his poverty, and in his affluence. In other words, he must diligently pursue the knowledge of these things, no matter what his circumstances must be. This is done at four places: in the mountain terrains, on the sea, in the cities, and in rural areas. In other words, he must endeavor to acquire his science from the right teacher, no matter where that teacher is located. He writes what he has acquired upon four things. There's that word, upon. Salafis love that word, upon. Upon stones, upon shells, upon skins, upon bones. This is all bid'ah, ain't it? Bukhari telling y'all to do stuff that the Sahaba didn't do. Uh-oh. Bukhari might be a mubtadi', y'all, according to the Salafis. Continuing. In other words, even when he does not find paper, he will continue recording it somewhere else until he finds the paper upon which to preserve it. He acquires it from four different types of people: from his seniors, from his juniors, from his counterparts, and from the books of his father, provided he has firm conviction that these are his father's books. In other words, his endeavors to acquire this science in every way possible without feeling ashamed to obtain it, even from his juniors. He has four objectives for doing all of these things. I told y'all this was boring. To acquire this science solely for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to practice upon the hadiths, which confirm the verses of the Holy Quran, Majid, to propagate the science to those who seek it, and to write it out so that it can be a source of guidance to those who will come after him. Thereafter, the aforementioned four things cannot be acquired unless he has first acquired four other things that are part of human acquisition: the knowledge of how to read and write, lexicography, and vocabulary, morphology, and syntax, together with four other things that are not of human acquisition, but are bestowed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala: sound health, ability, an ardent desire for learning, and a retentive memory. Once all of the aforementioned four-angled things are attained by him, then four things will become insignificant before him. He will then be afflicted by four things. Four, not four. Sorry. That's my Cincinnati coming out. My bad, y'all. He will then be afflicted by four things. His enemies will rejoice at his distress. Oh, subhanAllah, I know too much about that one. His friends will reproach him. The ignorant will taunt him. Ooh, them Salafis love, man, they be on my task. Not saying that I know all this, but I'm just joking. The scholars, lastly, of this set of four, the scholars, the ulama, will be jealous of him. Once he exercises patience on all these calamities, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will honor him with four things in this world: the honor of contentment, qana'ah, conviction coupled with awe and dignity, the pleasure of sacred knowledge, ilm, and eternal life. On top of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will honor him with four things in the hereafter: the honor of the intercession on behalf of whomever he pleases, the shade of the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day when there will be no shade available except for the shade of his throne, the privilege to provide water to whomsoever he pleases from the Kawthar of Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, and close proximity with the prophets, the Anbiya, in the highest of the high places, ala aliyin. End quote. Where's my thing? 1 second. Boom. Okay, so before you touch a hadith, you gotta know all that. You can't copy and paste a hadith without that, and that's not even getting into the usul. That's not getting to none of that. You got to do all of that. This is per Bukhari. I said that follow Bukhari, follow Sahih Muslim, follow the Quran, according to the way. So this what you said. This what they say. You got to know all of that before you copy and paste me something. Don't copy and paste me something you don't know all that. So, in closing, and I'm gonna get to some of these comments, not too many. Um, um, I hope I've impressed that going straight to the Quran and the Sunnah is you can't do it. You cannot do it. If you have one of those illustrious teachers, if you make taqleed of one of these illustrious teachers and you are a good student and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills it for you, then you come to that level of a mujtahid and you can go straight to the Quran and straight to the Sunnah. And lastly, what I want to say about that is the reason why that's illogical is because uh, the mujtahideen, they had a purview of the ahadith. They knew all of the conflicting narrations. Just like in the beginning of Bukhari's statement, you got to know all of the Rasulullah Sallallahu statements. You got to know all of the Sahaba's statements. You got to know all of the Tabi'een statements. You got to know all of the Tabi'een statements. You got to know the Khalaf. You got to know the Salaf statements. You got to know the Khalaf statements. You have to know all of this on top of the names, where they came from, who they was with, who they knew, who they didn't know. You got to know all of this before you can actually claim that you follow the Quran and the Sunnah according to the way of the Salaf. Like I tell everybody, that is very romantic. And it sounds a very hip, hip hooray. But listen, I like my football. I like my football and ride my jet skis on the beach. I ain't doing all that. I'm gonna make taqleed to Imam Malik. He did it, and the people, the ulama of the Maliki school and the four other schools, they did all that. They was just they do that better than I shoot a basketball. Y'all know how cold I am at hoop. That's what they did. That's not what I do. So in order for you to be rightly guided, you have to admit that you have to be a muqallid. You have to admit to yourself, Salafi brothers and sisters, you have to admit to yourself that you can't get around following the madhab. And you will not grow until you get on that escalator of the madhab, of the madhahi. You have to get you have to get on the escalator, and that will move you to the top if you can make it. Because the Salafi curriculum is easy, super easy. It ain't nowhere near as hard as our curriculum. So I doubt a lot of them make it. Yeah, I doubt a lot of them even make it. We have to, part of our curriculum, what we do, what the people of fiqh, the actual people of hadith, what the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, what they don't know because they don't practice this, but what our curriculum isn't a lot of pamphlets about who to follow and who not to follow, who to take from, who not to take from, what's shirk and what's not shirk. Like, we actually spend the time learning the deen. Our curriculum is hard. Like right now, like I'm studying for ijaza right now to in what the Maliki school considers to be a children's book. I wish I could grab it. It's on my shelf. I haven't touched it in a while. It's a book about this thick, front and back, with all these rules and regulations. Before I even touch a hadith, before us even touch a hadith, you got to learn the principles, you got to learn the usul of hadith, and you got to be on your deen and on your square first before you get to touching hadith and then copying and pasting and saying everybody's a mushrik. We memorizing, so this is what fiqh looks like. The fiqh is the work of the mujtahideen, the actual muhaddithun, the actual people who went to the Quran and Sunnah by themselves. Not by themselves, they were taught, but that's to rose to that level. It's the work of them for us because they know you ain't gonna learn the name of this. It'd be like 6 names in the isnad. You got to learn the birth date, his full name, what his father name was, what area of the city he came from, what those people in that city said about him. You got to know all this stuff about each person. That's hard to know just in one sanad. And these dudes knew millions of sanads. That's a miracle. They had millions of this all this information inside of their brain. They knew the hadith. They knew all of them. And they said, oh, okay, the rules and regulations for salah is this. This is wajib. This is farad. This is sunnah. This is sunnah mu'akkada. You put the hands here. You don't put the hands there. You say this when you standing up. You do that when you pointing the finger when you're saying shahada. That stuff is that's fiqh. You gotta memorize all that stuff first. 90% of y'all ain't gonna do that. So don't tell me you follow the Quran and Sunnah according to the way of the Salah, because you ain't. Be a good muqallid first. Be a good student first. And as long as you parakeet and I follow the Quran and Sunnah according to the way of the Salah, you have not even began to be a student. I don't care how much Arabic you know. You have not scratched the surface of actually becoming a talabul ilm. You have not. You got to start with your further ain and go from there. If you survive the further ain, right when I thought I knew something, I keep telling y'all, as soon as I thought I knew something, Sheikh was like, here, memorize this. Come back when you're done. That's the way it goes. Seriously. We gotta understand what we getting into. When I passed, I took one fiqh book with Sheikh Rami. He was like, okay, good. Boom, he hit me with a bigger fiqh book. And it took me a while to get through that one. When I finished that one, he gave me another fiqh book. And this time that fiqh book ain't have no English in it. I should get it and show it to y'all. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get it. It's right here. Hold on. Let me show y'all what Sheikh Rami gave me. This is what I have to keep it in. A trapper keeper. Because I'm a trapper. It's one of my little small ijazas, my certificate ijaza from Sheikh Ayub. Keep that in the artifacts. Sheikh Rami gave me this book right here. Look at this, all Arabic. I don't know if y'all can see it or not. He said, memorize this. This. See how thick that is? All Arabic. The whole thing. He said, let me know when you're done. He told me to translate it. He told me to translate it and submit my translation to him. I ain't no hadiths in that. I ain't even got through 3-4 pages of it. And we talking about we following Quran and Sunnah according to the way of the Salaf. Are you serious? What is this? Something just popped up on my, what is this? My bad, y'all. That was weird. Hey, my computer just started tripping. I got to drop it out hot the Salafis to put a virus in the computer. They just cyber attacked me. Man, my computer, something just popped up on my computer and I clicked it off, and the whole video just shut off. I'm thinking, no, it was still going. But let me close this up. Let's get on up out of here, y'all. I hope I made my point. I love y'all for so. Let me get to some of the comments. I said, Assalamu alaikum, Salam Mr. King. My brother, he said, I agree. Hassan Watson, Salam Brigham, Allah best. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Hassan Watson. Kanza Davis said, so if you follow the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu because I was taking it, some of my companions, you were telling some of your companions about this group on Facebook. I'm not sure what you're trying to say. Let me see. So you follow the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu as I was saying, yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Of course. Just I'm not a Salafi. I know, that's what you're used to, and that's what people, that's what a lot of people heard of and used to. No, I followed one of the 4 schools, and I hope that was just, I covered the answer to that question in the video. He said, wow, that's not nice. I'm sorry if I said something that hurt anybody's feelings. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just trying to be real. Because David said, I am Salafi, so I am just trying to have a clear understanding. For understanding. Yes. Okay. Good. And I commend that you're not biased. You're very humble, and you always tune in. I appreciate that. And just hear me out. That's all I've been trying to get any of the Salafi people to do is hear me out. You can't deny what I'm saying. You might be mad that I'm the one saying it, but this is stuff that's I'm just transmitting to the people. I sit around and read books all day, and I know y'all ain't gonna do that. This is what's on my desk, y'all. I sit around and do this stuff all day. I jump from one book to another. I don't turn the TV on. These more books that's on my desk. Some more. This is all the stuff that I got stuff open on my computer that I'm working on. So y'all might be mad that I'm saying it, but this stuff is when y'all say, "Where's the evidence?" Where's the evidence, brother? Listen, I am evidence. That's all I do. I wish I could show y'all a screenshot of my computer and show y'all how many tabs I got open from research and study and stuff. I know most of the people ain't gonna do that. So I make these little videos to try to condense all of this reading and studying and not watching the game and all that stuff. I try to condense it into an understanding on a video so that we can be rightly guided and we can actually, for once, live peacefully in a community without us attacking each other and y'all know the stuff that's going on with the Salafi and the Madhabi. My brother Farouk Thomas is Assalamu alaikum. Got here late for the fish fry. You silly. Yes, Darussalam, another one of those places, publications, and websites you want to avoid. Salih. He said rare, the Mujtahideen and rare in our time. I think that's what you're referring to. Salih Abdul Majid, Ustad Salih. He said Arabic doesn't mean you know the religion. That's like saying, because I know Chinese, I know Kung Fu. I ain't never think about it like that. Now that's fiqh. Alhamdulillah. Salih said the 3 fundamentals is only 12 pages long. That is a kid's book in the month. That's one section. Not to be funny, y'all. Sorry, I don't want to laugh. I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh. I shouldn't jest. Astaghfirullah. But yeah, the Salafi curriculum is not sophisticated at all. It's not. How can it be like 5 different little treaties? How can the Quran and the Sunnah be condensed into 5 treaties about take from this guy, don't take from this guy, and here's Tawheed Rububiyyah and Tawheed Uluhiyyah? How can the grandeur of Quran and Hadith be concise into this ant's mind understanding? It's not, y'all. It's not the Quran and the Sunnah. It's not. Y'all want Quran and Sunnah? I will hit y'all with these boring videos all day. And I got some guys that's even more boring than I am that can go, with this hadith from this person, and that person lived in the Tabi'i, but he taught this salaf, and that salaf taught this khalaf, and their chain goes all the way back to this Tabi'i who was connected to this particular sahabi. We can do that. Y'all really want to play the game of Quran and Sunnah? Let's do it. Mind you, I ain't no after I fried Colin and Kashif on here on live. Everybody's scared to come on live now. I told everybody I wasn't going, I wasn't going. I'm done frying fish, as the brother Farouk Thomas said. I just want to ask. The show could be 5 minutes long if a Salafi can come on here and say, here's our snot. The show could be 5 minutes long, but they won't even come on here and defend themselves. So we just got to keep going on what it is that we do. So let me get out of here, man. My doggone pizza is cold. I love y'all for the sake of Allah. If I said anything wrong, it does not belong to Islam. It belongs to my ignorance and my miscomings, my shortcomings, my mishaps. It does not belong to Islam, the Prophet, the illustrious companions, or any of the illustrious scholars that belong to our religion. I think that's it. We got some other stuff we're working on for y'all. We just got out of a phone meeting, and the brothers, we're gonna put together a very comprehensive Quran and Sunnah course for whoever wants to sign up for it. We already then established that, like in this group and with these type of videos, we just bash the Salafis, and that's not helpful. It's helpful to some of them who need their head cracked, but it ain't helpful to the ones who are innocent, the people who really don't know. And honestly, these videos are for those people who need their head cracked because they knowingly misguiding people. It's not for the muqallidun of the Salafi people, because they don't know no better. They just listening to the stuff that's been forced on them via Facebook Live. So, or their boyfriend, husband, whatever. But we're going to put together a comprehensive course that is Quran and Sunnah. It's going to be a little less than what we ourselves are studying, but just to get people on the right track. With Tajweed, with Fiqh, Hanbali, Shafi'i, Maliki, and Hanafi, all of the madhabs, we are going to share with y'all what we have learned in our literally decades journey, and been students of knowledge. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We're gonna share our insight. We putting that effort together. So inshallah, maybe in the next couple of weeks we're gonna have that for y'all. So we saying don't do this, we're gonna show y'all what to do. So we're gonna break it down right here, and then we got another platform that we're building that's gonna build y'all up, and it's gonna be people friendly. It's not gonna be, right now a lot of the systems of knowledge is very intimidating, not accommodating to people's work schedule, not accommodating to people's comprehension level. I was one before that didn't have the highest comprehension level before I actually started to learn this stuff. And I had to take, baby steps. So we putting this stuff together for y'all, inshallah ta'ala. So stay tuned for that. I gotta go. I love y'all for the sake of Allah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله ولا إله إلا الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.